call today at 2:30, and George Pearson and James Pittman will not be here.
My name is Joe Terrell. I'm the Republican candidate for Winnebago County Clerk, and the reason I'm running for this office is because I want to see more accuracy, more reliability, and more transparency. When I got to looking at the office, I found, especially in the elections office, I found a series of rather egregious errors. One, for example, a situation in 2008 where the candidates printed on the ballot were with the wrong candidates. There was another situation where absentee ballots were sent out with the wrong postage requirements on them for return postage, and it cost the county clerk a significant amount of money to get the postmaster to deliver the mail. There's a situation where the clerk improperly determined the date of vacancy after a elected official passed away in an untimely death, and that caused a significant amount of litigation, a significant amount of taxpayer money wasted. It caused a person to be removed from office that had already been appointed, and it caused somebody else to be appointed to fulfill the term, who then got a year's back pay that she didn't, quite frankly didn't earn. So these are just examples of things that I have found in the Board of Elections office from this county clerk that need to be addressed, and need to be addressed quickly, because these are errors that compromise our electoral system. And we as voters, as residents of Winnebago County, we have to know, when we go to the polling place on election day, we have to know with 100% faith that our election process is done accurately, reliably, and transparently. We have to know that it's right. Why are we wasting taxpayer money in places where we just simply don't have to do it? We need to make sure that every dollar that we spend is open to the sunshine of transparency. We have to make sure that it's your money and you deserve to know when, how, and where it's being spent. I think the whole thing all boils down to three things. We need more accuracy, we need more reliability, and we need more transparency.
I am a sergeant with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department. I have 30 years of experience in law enforcement. Constitution was brought up. Absolutely. Our founding fathers warned us several hundred years ago that our freedoms were more of a threat by gradual encroachment of those in authority than any foreign enemy. The sheriff is your last line of defense from both the street punks, the gang violence, the internet crimes, and your government. I will stand up for you. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-concealed carry. Most of you know 2 states in the nation are not concealed carry. Illinois and Wisconsin. I see it coming. It makes sense. 20 years ago, you would have asked me, I was a little iffy on it, but you know what? It's proven. It's working in other states. Every single state that has concealed carry saw a reduction in violent crimes and street crimes.
How difficult has it been for you to run for your boss's job?
I had enough guts to knock on his door and go in and tell him what my intentions were. I do have the endorsement of Sheriff Joe Arpaio. I met
I'm a Rockford native, and I can remember a time where Rockford was that shining city that the late, great President Reagan talked about. Factories were humming, folks had jobs, the schools were safe. No one complained about property taxes and tips and all these crazy things that have just come up in my, well, somewhat short lifetime. I'm not quite that old. You know, there's been a lot of talk about what's wrong, and anger and grinding of teeth and furrowing of the brow. And I'm here to tell you that from the day in 1984, where as a high school senior, I had the honor to vote for the late President Reagan. I've always believed that conservatism is a recipe for prosperity, a recipe for happiness, a recipe for optimism. And we need to get back to that, by golly. And what is that recipe for Rockford, Illinois? Well, in my estimation, it's 3 simple ingredients. We've got to bring back conservative economic policies to the state of Illinois that will bring jobs to Rockford so people can work here. Secondly, we need to bring common sense conservative options to the monopoly of public education, like vouchers, like fully funded charter schools that aren't sitting in classrooms with the ceiling tiles falling down. And we need to make a place at the table for the homeschoolers because they have wisdom that they can share with the educational establishment. And by doing that, we'll improve our schools so people will live here. So now we've got them working here, we've got them living here. And that third ingredient to conservative, optimistic prosperity, my friends, is public safety. The good soon-to-be Sheriff Aaron Booker talked a little bit about that. We need to work the conservative angles on that, like early intervention, mentorship, to reduce the recidivism of which he spoke. Because if we do that, people will stay here. And then, once again, Rockford will be that shining city on the hill. You can bank on it. I'm against Peatone. Peatone is a sinkhole of cronyism payoff money. That airport never was needed, never will be needed. We're far better off to advance the cause of the Rockford Airport. Trains, that's a touchy subject. I've seen transportation studies that show on a dollar cost basis, we get more transportation bang for the buck if we just increase our highway capacity so people can move more quickly from point A to point B. Trains are nice, they're shiny, they're big, they have comfy chairs. At the end of the day, I'm going to make that decision based on what's cheaper. And if what's cheaper isn't as shiny, as glamorous, or exciting, well, it's still cheaper, and government should be doing the job as economically feasible as possible. I want concealed carry to be must issue for citizens who have demonstrated facility and skill with a firearm. I don't want to give guns to just everybody running around half-cocked, because that's an issue of common sense. I'm a common sense conservative, after all. The amount of red tape involved in opening a business, even something as simple as a home-based business, is extraordinary. A lot of people like to talk about all the jobs going to China. There are jobs going to China. There have been for the last 2 decades. The thing that the Chicago mob Democrats want you to forget is that Illinois loses a ton of jobs to Indiana, to Wisconsin, to Iowa, because they provide a more business-friendly climate. Whether it's through tax policy or regulation or open shop rules. I mean, dozens and dozens of points of law and regulation that Illinois has to favor the Chicago machine. If we start to untangle that rat's nest, regular entrepreneurs, Main Street folks who have a vision for a business, an idea for a product, they can make that dream real more easily. That's where the growth is going to come from. The big corporations aren't going to come flooding back. We all know that small business is what our nation lives and dies on. And it's the undoing of those regulations that are going to be a shot in the arm for small business.